why not? Got a drippy nose. It's dirty anyways. Some say that we have to take care of our dogs with immaculate care, but I believe a dog can be dirty, and it's perfectly inconsequential. A dog is a dog. I love my dog. My dog is very affectionate to me. And my dog moves over when I want to lie down on bed. My dog keeps the bed warm for me. My dog's favorite spot on the bed is where I lie down. And when I come into the room to lie down, to meditate, my dog moves. And my favorite spot for meditation is warm because my dog. So, if I wipe snot on my dog, it's perfectly inconsequential because me and my dog love each other. Me and my dog, we have a relationship. Now, you may wonder why I call this my dog. And really that is a fault of your perception as opposed to an error in my perception. You're caught up in literalism, in excessive symbolism of the hyper-representational mind, and that's perfectly fine. This is my dog, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not. But I will explain to you how I came across my dog, how I befriended my dog, and how my dog became my dog. I was taking a walk in a park, and I looked down at the creek beside me, a good 40 feet away, and I saw this dog tossing to and fro in the bubbles, stuck at a juncture of rocks that prohibited it from going downstream and flowing carelessly among the eddies. What a beautiful dog. He was sitting there, bobbing up and down in the creek, waiting for me to rescue it, take it home, feed it, and providing loving, nurturing care. Bobbing there in the stream, in the foam, in the bubbles, just waiting for the proper master to come and relieve it of its travails, its trials and tribulations, as a would-be dog. Think about that. Think of how many things are out there in the natural world just begging for your care and attention. They're all drenched in meaning, but here you are, some corpse of a human being, depriving them of their intrinsic meaning depriving them of meaning by means of your excessive, perverted excogitation that has been deracinated from its fundamental ground as nature itself. Shame on you. I've got a new dog. I figured it out. I outwitted my wit. And when I was taking my dog home on a walk, I was learning how to take care of this dog. And we were going downhill on a street. And it was difficult to keep up with my dog. I let my dog roll alongside me on the sidewalk, but it was really along the curb. And I had to find various ways to break my dog's progress. I stuck out my foot, curtailed it for a moment or two, and it went back, and I felt like Pele, like I was a soccer player, constantly trying to get the best angle on my dog. And that's when it happened. I had taken a right, and I was on the main thoroughfare of town. And I was walking my dog by nudging it a little bit, but then breaking it by putting my foot in front of it. And then, of course, it would hit the side of my foot and go up like that. I love my new dog. Such a caring and devotional dog. I drench it with meaning, but really that is my anthropocentric imperialism. It is already meaning as the most perfect orb of dog. I haven't learned to kiss it quite yet. I don't want to kiss a dog on the lips. That's a little bit too much for me right now. Plus, you can see my dog is dirty. But my dog is a perfect sphere of affection, of canine intimacy. It's drenched in meaning. It is meaning. This is the ground of being as dog. I love you. You mean everything to me. You are meaning. And then it happened. Like I said, I was walking along the thoroughfare of town after taking a right. And there he was. And I'm sorry that he's a he. I wish he were a she, so I wouldn't be accused of sexism, but here we go. I was kicking my dog. Not like that. See? See where you go? I was kicking my dog, which is a form of walking my dog. It's not abuse. It's just a gentle pat with my foot to keep my dog from running out into traffic. My dog doesn't understand cars. If my dog, per force, goes the wrong direction, it will get run over by a car and deflate and die. No longer a dog. I saw him, my favorite intellectual, flanked by two other intellectuals. Now this intellectual lives in my town. And I'll be honest, I moved to this town so I could be with my favorite intellectual. He's the smartest intellectual I know, and I'm sorry he's not a she. Maybe he'll go transgender at some point and be both, be a hybrid, be an androgynous hermaphrodite, but for now he's a he, and I know that's a problem for half my viewers. I'm sorry. I'm a he. Maybe that's why I think he's the smartest intellectual, because he's a he, but that is so sexist of me to even prefer a he over a she, and I try to compensate for that with this, a ponytail. Do you like me more now that I'm more feminine? But then I balance the ponytail with facial hair, and I've got a cock, so eventually you're going to get to the secret of my identity. My favorite intellectual, flanked by two minor intellectuals, asked me why I was walking my dog. My favorite intellectual was perplexed by my activity. And that was a red flag for me. That was an alarm. I was like, whoa, he doesn't even understand what I'm doing. I'm walking my dog. Now my favorite intellectual just stopped, flanked by two minor intellectuals, a kind of triumvirate, a trinity of power. And he said, Mark, it's good to see you. What are you doing with that ball? I almost said dog, but he didn't say dog, he said ball. And you should have seen the flash of anger that was like a lightning storm across my eyes, that my favorite intellectual didn't understand what I was doing. But it didn't matter. He's my favorite intellectual. And every time I see my favorite intellectual on the street, walking along the sidewalk, because that's what he does to have his brilliant thoughts, and he's flanked by two minor intellectuals, the trinity of power, I go down to my knees instantly. Instantly go down to my knees. And of course I had to grab my ball, my dog, grab my dog, stop it, and I typically bow 3 times to my favorite intellectual. And then I stay on my knees, which is also a problem because it's concrete. Hurts my knees. But this is my favorite intellectual. And so I said to him, listen, you don't understand now, and that's fine, because you will understand, because you're the smartest intellectual I know. You're my favorite intellectual, you're brilliant, you're a genius. This is not a ball, this is a dog. I can understand why you would get it mixed up, because you're caught in appearances, and you want to save the appearances like they wanted to do in ancient astronomy with Ptolemy and all those guys, Apollonius, etc. You want to save the appearances, but this is not a ball, this is a dog. Now, of course, my favorite intellectual, flanked by 2 minor intellectuals, didn't grasp what I was saying, but I was bowing and I said, don't worry, you'll get it, it's all good, how are you? And he says, I'm fine. And I said, well, Master, what do you have for me today? I would love to just receive your wisdom. And at that point, he opened his mouth. And it's very difficult to describe what happens next, but I'll do my best. It's as if he is a dragon breathing fire, breathing napalm. But it's all invisible. It's just a stream. It's a current of energy. and it goes straight from his mouth to my prefrontal cortex, and then drenches the remainder of my neocortex and saturates my entire brain, and then goes down my spine, and then reverberates outward through all the nerves in my body, all the meridians, etc., and fills me. And then I'm in a state of complete supplication and prostration to the smartest intellectual I know. So it's weird. We're there on the street, but it's kind of like a, what's the word? It's like a terradome. You know, when you imagine human beings going to other planets and there's a big dome over their settlement, their village, the first village that settles the foreign planet, I'll call that a terradome. Terradome. Not terror. God, you really got to get off that. There's a terradome that accompanies or that surrounds me, my favorite intellectuals, and the two minor intellectuals flanking him. And we're there, we're encompassed in this kind of intellectual sphere of bliss. And I receive the transmission and I upload just his energy current into my mind. And this is where it's kind of difficult to describe, but also everything's difficult to describe with him because he's the most brilliant intellectual on the planet. And when I'm with him, I just immediately go down to my knees and then I'm in an altered state. If you've heard of heteroglossia, it's like basically speaking in tongues. And so my favorite intellectual, the smartest intellectual I know, after he opens his mouth and the current of invisible energy saturates my body mind, he starts speaking in tongues. It's heteroglossia. It's heterodoxical heteroglossia. I don't really know what he is saying, but every once in a while, there will be an English phrase in there that I'll catch. Like I'm fishing desperately for some kind of meaning for my conventional representational mind. But he's so far beyond the representational. He's my favorite intellectual. I mean, that's why. He goes beyond representation. He has a full-grown adult respect for representation, but he goes beyond the rational mind while respecting it. And that's why I bow down to him. That's why I go into full prostrations. Meanwhile, my dog is great. I don't need a leash for my dog. My dog is over there panting. Apparently, my dog is also in love with my favorite intellectual and the two minor intellectuals flanking him. There is a catchphrase that is reiterated through the heteroglossial heterodoxy that he is uploading into my prefrontal neocortex. And the phrase is, keep the ontology infinite. Keep the ontology infinite. Now, everything else that he's saying is really kind of the ingredients of an operating system that will pretty much dictate and determine the unfolding of my consciousness over the next few days until I run into him again on the sidewalk. But analytically, when I look at his effect upon my consciousness, I realize why this is a dog. Because not just a week ago, we had the same encounter on the sidewalk. I obviously didn't have my dog at that moment. He gave me the heteroglossial heterodoxy input as a channel of numinous energy into my mind, and then within a week I had a new dog and I was walking it. Now, what's fascinating is the reciprocity, the mutuality of our simultaneous contemplative endeavor. The simultaneity of our spontaneity in intersubjectivity with the two minor intellectuals as well, and my dog at my side, and me on my knees with my favorite intellectual, the smartest intellectual I know. You, like me, we just worship the smartest intellectuals we know because they have so much for us. There's so much that they have to offer us if we would simply just upload their transmission and obey. Obedience, right? Do you want to know how to live your life? Then you obey the smartest intellectual that you know. You just, boom, you join the caravan, right? This is what he told me a week ago. Now, I didn't understand the transmission at the time because it was like this. Keep the ontology infinite. Keep the ontology infinite. But evidently, I've been able to decode retroanalytically, reconstructively, retrospectively, lots of retro, for the heteroglossia, heterodoxy, and heterosexual, who's not sexist. I'm not sexist. Fuck. Now I understand what happened a week ago. I get it. My favorite intellectual, who happens to be the smartest intellectual I know, uploaded this into my consciousness. So when I saw the ball in the creek, I instantly realized that that was my dog to be, that I would establish intimacy with my dog to be. I just needed to extricate my dog from the bubbling creek and take it on a walk. And then, eventually, after 7 days of loving, nurturing concern for my companion canine, I would see my favorite intellectual, the smartest intellectual I know. I would go down to my knees. We would be in the Terradome together. He would be flanked by 2 minor intellectuals. I would have my pet, and he would give me the transmission of a lifetime. The transmission of a lifetime. Now it's a lot of blah blah blah. But if you can hang long enough in the Terradome with the smartest intellectual you know, then maybe he or she can tell you something that you need to know. And in this case, it means keep the ontology infinite.